Big giant head? Check. Notification that Lotro stream is live? Check. Hi everybody, it's Big Ed Mustafa. Welcome to another riveting edition of Adventures After Dark. I'm your host. I'm delighted to be here, and I'm excited to be kicking off the weekend. So we are going to play some Lotro. Although, I don't know I'm going to play Mandalinia tonight. I think I may park her. Been doing a lot of playing Mandalinia. She's level 140, and I am anxious to see some of the high-end content. Hidden Horde is one thing that comes to mind. We still have a couple of other things to finish. We never have gotten through Remerkant. Looking forward to trying that again with the Wednesday night crew. But for tonight, I think I'm going to do task item turn-ins and then maybe switch up characters. We might run Radigan the Warden. My friend Bacchus, who's been joining me on Friday nights, is probably without power right now. So thank you, local South African Energy Council. Guess we'll just turn in a bunch of cracked axes, maybe like 100 of them. The task at hand I actually completed yesterday, so I don't know how that got synced to Thursdays, but okay. No reason to not start on the tenements right away. We'll get these knocked out. I have restocked the refrigerator with crisp, refreshing Coke Zero. However, it's still warm, so I am drinking the last of my Dr. Pepper Zero Sugars right now. So if I seem a little off my game, if I seem a little fuzzy, a little lost, it's because I don't have the right soda. But Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar is pretty yummy. I like how everybody's copying Coke's marketing. They were the first one to coin Coke Zero and then Coke Zero Sugar. And now all the other soft drink manufacturers, it's Zero Sugar this and Zero Sugar that. Pepsi Zero Sugar Max and Mountain Dew Zero Sugar, and Dr. Pepper 7-Up started doing it. They are now, I did not know this, Keurig Dr. Pepper 7-Up. Apparently, Keurig has bought the soft drink conglomerate. The fine folks behind my Venom energy drinks, which I could not find at the store. I was going to buy some more Rock Stars and try another flavor, but the two that I had last week just weren't very good. So I decided rather than to drink foul-tasting energy drinks, I just see how far the Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar can carry me tonight. Not going to lie, I'm starting out just a little bit worn down. Was up way too late last night. Alright, so that's 10 task items. Again, boys and girls, we try to turn in our task items every day. They're good and good for you. Miko says, what's your time zone? I am in the central United States time zone. We are lined up with the Chicago time zone. It is 9 p.m. here in Omaha, Nebraska. And in addition to Miko 300 who's here, I wanted to also thank the almost 300 people who watched last week's stream on YouTube after the fact. Just appreciate you guys watching the stream, following along with the goofiness I'm doing. Hello from Racine, Wisconsin. Well, hello Racine, Wisconsin. I don't think I have anything in particular to sell or to store. And I could sell or store one or two things, but probably not worth jacking with at this point. So, we can take a look at the quest log, see if there's anything useful I can go knock out. Antler checking in. Hello, Antler. Antler is a fellow Nebraskan. He lives in Elkhorn, which is basically the northwest part of Omaha now. What do you think, Antler? Should I go knock out some old quests, or should I just go play my warden? This all just looks so fun, I can't decide what I want to do first. Antler wants me to dust off the warden. Okay, Antler, you win. I was kind of leaning that direction anyway. So we'll do that exactly. Cheers, y'all. A 3-day weekend here in the United States for a lot of folks. We are celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday on Monday. It will be the observation of Dr. King's birthday. Warden is an interesting character. It is a little unique in Lord of the Rings Online. I believe Warden was added as part of the Mines of Moria expansion along with Runekeeper. And they have a unique gambit system where they can do special combo attacks and stack bleeds and stack damage and do lots of cool things. And people think the gambit system is super complicated. It can be confusing if you haven't played around with it. And I'm by no means an expert warden, but I've got a few of the basics down. If we check our skills, let's see what we have. There's a special gambit tab. And basically the first three things on the skill bar, let's call them Spear, Shield, and Shout. 1, 2, and 3 here. You basically just combine them to perform a gambit. It's like a combo attack in a fighting game. And I always joke that it's kind of like a dance step where it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And you could just, each of these symbols represents combining different gambits. And you've got determination gambits, basic gambits. You've got, the gambit types aren't even that interesting. Assailment gambits. And I think the life tap gambits, those are important, where you can actually bleed your opponents and gain back health during a fight. But just getting familiar with the basic gambit combinations and practicing them and getting good at pulling them off, it's not that hard to do, and it adds just a little bit more variety to your Lotro play if you like melee characters. My Fire Runekeeper, I had a routine set down for Audrafina on Arkenstone, and somebody was watching me stream her one time, and they're like, "Is that all you do, is press those 3 buttons over and over?" And I kind of started chuckling. I'm like, yeah, basically. There's Bacchus. Hi, Bacchus. Are you watching in the dark on your notebook, or do you actually still have power? I have power for about another hour. Okay, cool. Forsaken Inn, oatmeal problems. By the looks of this, I've pretty much completed the Lone Lands. Gartha Garwin. Defeat Gloomwaters. We can go do that, I suppose. Destination Evendom. Introduce yourself to the Wardens of Enuminus. Mr. Christoph checking in. So the Bacchus and Mustafa Power Hour, it sounds like. Bacchus may have other things he needs to do with his last hour of electrical viability. Your names are the same color. It took me a moment to realize it was an antler saying hi twice. It's not all about color, Bacchus. Sometimes you have to actually read the words. I can join you if you'd like company. Alright, I was going to switch things up a little bit. I've been playing a lot of Mandalinia lately. So I was just going to run my 35th level Warden. If you've got anybody comparable on Evernight, feel free to join me. Oh, here's one of my favorite Warden attacks. You hit him with ambush and then follow it up with critical strike. And if you get a critical hit on a critical strike, it does buku damage. It's a happy thing. Almost wish you could revisit the old free-to-play account Warsteinik. Well, I certainly could. Warsteinik's in Moria? It's not that old of an account. I just created it last March. Still not even a year old. I just felt like once we got to Moria, it's like, okay, I think I've pretty much made my point about free-to-play being perfectly fine and viable. I'm not sure why people were like, free-to-play is impossible. No, it's not. Free-to-play is easy and fun. Hardhit checking in. Hi, Hardhit. Hardhit's been so well behaved lately, I don't even need to give him a 6-second timeout for anything. Glad you're here, buddy. So I mentioned I'm drinking Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. My snack tonight, I'm actually stacking them up. I've got Smokehouse Almonds, followed by Sweet Chili Pistachios. The Sweet Chili Pistachios are dynamite. They're really good. And I got them without the shells. Hi.
Good evening, Edward. How are you?
Good. I'm delighted to hear that you're not yet in the dark, Bacchus.
I'm enjoying not being in the dark just yet myself. I will be very grumpy in an hour when the power does go off.
That won't be fun. Might be a good excuse to get out of the house and go do something, though. Got any plans for the day?
Probably go back to bed for a while. I didn't sleep too well last night.
Well, and it is still really early where you're at.
Well, I have 5:07 at the moment.
There you go. OSU Cowboys 85 checking in. Hi, Cowboys.
That's me, by the way.
Oh, okay. Yep, I just missed it.
Let me shoot you another one.
I was typing shoutouts when it popped up, and I just went to click it, and it disappeared. There we go.
Oh, thank you for the shout out.
You're welcome.
That. I actually streamed as well.
That's awesome.
It's been a while.
You reach a lot fewer people when you don't have electricity in your streaming, but it's good you're putting in the time anyway.
I'll see if I can do it again this evening or tomorrow. Excuse me.
That poor Ward never had a chance. Mrs. M and I are great. We thought she might be moving today from the post-critical care hospital to the rehabilitation hospital, but they didn't quite get everything lined up, and it might happen Monday or Tuesday, so she was a little bummed about staying there, but it's the best thing, really. Turned out they didn't have anybody who was too excited about driving her over to the dialysis center at 5 a.m., which would have needed to happen in the morning. And since that's not lined up, they're not moving her. And I was pretty amused by it because the case manager was like, "Is there any chance you can drive her?" I'm like, well, you can't really fit a wheelchair in a Subaru Impreza, so no.
And also, why are you asking me to do your job for you?
Well,
She's under your care.
Let's face it, she's under my care. I'm using the medical system to try to heal her. And believe me, that's been a full-time job. If I just left them to their own devices, I don't know what kind of condition my poor wife would be in right now. I've said it before, I will say it again. If there's anybody that you care about who ends up in the hospital, you need to be up there every day following up, making sure they're doing their job, keeping an eye on things, making sure the nurses, the staff are doing what they need to do to keep your loved one comfortable.
Alive.
Alive, they get in trouble if they don't get that part done. Everything else is optional is the problem. And a hospital can be a very miserable place, as Mrs. M can now attest to. So, I take her chicken nuggets, I take her soup, Chinese food. The stuff that they give her is edible, but that's about all you can say about it. And she's been there or the previous ICU. It's been like
late October.
She went to the hospital in October for the first surgery, and then she was in and out of the emergency room a few times because we were having trouble with the wound vac. But solidly, since before Thanksgiving, she's well past the 45-day mark. 45 days with nothing but hospital food. And she'd been finally putting on a little bit of the weight that she lost when she was, sedated and just being fed intravenously, or through a tube rather. And now some of the weight she put back on is trickling off of her because she just doesn't feel like eating any of that same old garbage. It's unfortunate. But the antibiotics that she's been on, they kind of mess up your taste buds and make nothing taste good, and that's the whole thing she's been having to deal with too. Yeah, quality care's gone way downhill. You got hospital administrators that are cutting back staff to try to save on cost. You've got higher patient demand. You've got it's a system that's just stretching itself too thin. And it's not that the hospital she's in isn't full of caring people who work hard, who do as good of a job as they can, but they're just too resource constrained. There's too much work for too few staff. And, I've done everything I can to, just keep her cheered up, round up her friends to visit. That's a big deal. I'm going through that right now because we told everybody, she might be moving Friday, so check with us before you come and visit. And we find out she wasn't moving today. It's like, she's going to still be there, and she would love for you to come up and see her this weekend. Because she is bored out of her mind. They've got a little TV up on the wall, and she can't really even see the thing. I keep looking for glasses for her to try on, And I think she bought a bunch of these like computer glasses for when she's sitting at her desk here at home. And they're not the glasses she needs to be able to see the TV up on the wall in the hospital room. So she can kind of listen to the TV but can't really see what's going on. She is starved for entertainment. You should do is when Mrs. M comes home is do a live stream with both you and her. Mrs. M is kind of social media adverse, and she's always been. I can't say she's always been welcome to appear on the stream, but everybody knows her mostly either as a voice in the background or a disembodied hand.
Reaching for the snacks.
Yep. Ooh, Kraban Slayer. Hooray. Of course, that means I have to kill 160 more or something stupid.
I'm nearly there.
Alright. I'm just running around killing stuff on landscape.
Well, as you want to say, killing orcs and goblins, you're doing the Lord's work.
And wargs. Foreman Kid checking in. Hello, world. Hello, Big Ed.
Evening.
And
You ran
speaking
straight past the orc.
Did I?
Yep, I'll kill him for you. It's alright.
Alright, thank you. I wanted to leave one for you so you felt useful. Yeah, what the hell was I going to say now? Oh, I will say that to the hospital staff's credit, speaking from personal experience, Mrs. Mustafa is quite capable of running me completely ragged, so I kind of feel for those poor people that work at the hospital taking care of her. I mean, she'll ask me to do something and I'll be in the middle of it, and she'll ask me to do something else. And it'll be like, would you close my blinds? Hand me my juice. You just asked me to close your blinds, honey. I need to close the blinds, and then I'll bring you the juice. Now hurry up and bring me the juice. Yes, dear. She's kind of the queen of the harpies sometimes. Handler says my mom can be like that. Yeah, I think it was Hardhit who posted a joke in the humor of Hardhit on my Discord. Said, I needed to get my wife's attention, but I didn't know how. So I sat down in my favorite chair and just tried to look comfortable. There's some truth to that. Not saying all women are that way, but boy, my wife sure is. What are you doing sitting there looking comfortable? Go do something for me. Yes, dear. Got anything in particular you want to work on?
I'm easy. This is quite a good place to work on Warg Slayer.
Yes, it is. Ginger checking in. Hi, Ginger.
Hey, Ginger. Yeah, I won't be around long enough to really get invested in anything, so I'm easy.
All right. And is that the angle right over the top of this hill?
I believe so.
That's exciting. I don't believe I have the angle yet.
I don't remember if I bought it or if I have it because I'm subscribing at the moment.
You can subscribe to Lotro?
Yep.
That is fantastic. I had no idea that was even a thing. Well, hopefully you get some extra sleep and then get a chance to get out and enjoy your Saturday a bit.
Oh, thank you. I hope the same for you tomorrow. You gonna go flying or anything at any point, or?
It is supposed to be nice this weekend. I wouldn't mind getting out to the airfield for a little bit, but I had some guys here today working on fixing some bad tiles in the shower, and they brought the wrong color of grout, and they started replacing the tiles, and used cement colored grout instead of bright white. So they're coming back tomorrow to fix that. I've got a couple of weeks worth of laundry to do. I'm going to have to mop the bathroom floor after they get done working in there because they made a hell of a mess with the grout. And I've got a whole bunch of other stuff I wanted to get hauled away. I've got a bunch of literally boxes of leftover medical supplies for Mrs. Mustafa's old wound vacs, including a wound vac that's just laying around the house. I need to get boxed up and shipped out. So I don't know how much leisure time I'm going to get this weekend. Singer checking in. I assume it's Cardolan or Swanfleet. I think the angle was given away during the last freebies.
You know, there's a very easy way to check. Let me log in on my free-to-play account. And I think Zynga is correct. I think what we don't have on the free-to-play is now... Before the Storm, and Eladan and Elry, his further adventures, or whatever it is.
You mean Before the Shadow?
Before the Shadow, there we go.
Arthur says, actually, I looked at the coupon code announcement and I didn't see Angle on there. Yeah, I didn't think they gave it away. It was relatively new.
Hey. Let's have a look.
And the Lotro freebie for the week is a free Landscape Soldier token coupon, code Summon Saul.
Well, having a look at my free-to-play account, he needs to buy Fate of Gundabad, Further Adventures, and that's it. In terms of content. So yeah, I think maybe they did give us Anglo Mathiasal.
I wonder if we got Troll Slayer.
Just literally about to suggest that.
I'm sure I got it knocked out. We'll go double check though. For lunch today, I found out something devastating. There was a Mexican restaurant here in Omaha called Rivera's that was fantastic. It was really good. And during the pandemic, there was a bakery that was in the same strip mall that's also terrific. It caught fire. And the whole part of the strip mall that both places were in got condemned. And Rivera's was basically shut down for about 9 or 10 months. And they came back, but when they came back, help was hard to find. They never could get fully staffed up. They weren't open for lunch a lot just because they couldn't find wait staff. I found out that it's permanently closed. And this is the place, I think I've talked about going there before. And like one of the specials they had one day was a 12-ounce bone-in sirloin chop with a peach habanero glaze. They would do, Brazino filet, different homemade Mexican soups, just stuff you don't find on regular menus. And it was all fantastic. And I'm really upset that that restaurant is closed because it was also fairly close to home. It was only a couple miles away. By coincidence, Mrs. M did not like it, probably because eating there made me happy. It does tend to disappoint her. So my work buddy and I were like, yeah, we got to find another Mexican restaurant. And there's one right by the office, and I knew that it wasn't going to be very good. But I said, all right, well, let's go eat at Fernando's, and you'll at least know what it is. Okay. And he bought lunch yesterday. We went to a new Vietnamese place called Pho 79. And for some reason, their credit card machine was down, and they could only take cash or Vimeo. Or Cash App. And my buddy was like, oh, I've got Cash App, I can pay you. He's like, don't worry about it, I got lunch. I'm like, all right. So to pay him back, I said, well, I'll buy Fernando's, and then we'll at least know the level of Mexican food we're talking about. And so for lunch today, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't Mexican food, and it wasn't great. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to cook dinner when I got home, and it's like, I think I'm just going to snack. I'm still, kind of bleh from lunch, and
well, I made 2 cheeseburgers for breakfast. Excuse me, at 4 o'clock in the morning.
that sounds like the breakfast of champions. Pont and Finbury checking in. Hello, Pont.
All I needed was beer to wash it down.
Donnie's here. Hi, Donnie. He says, hello, Eddington.
Hey,
I think we keep going up the hill.
Oh, you may as well see what's up here. That's one of the things about Lotros. You played the game for 15 years, and then there's still little places tucked away that, like this, that you've never actually been to.
Well, this is a recent landscape change. So I was thinking going up this hill took us to the angle or something.
Yes, those ruins on the hill to the southeast, that's in the angle. That's pretty much the start.
Yep, and I just fell to my death. Nope, I survived the fall. That's the angle up ahead there?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
That is a fair distance down.
Yeah, I did not think I would survive that fall.
Ouch.
Right?
Yep. It crunched a bit.
Cotton Finberry is eating a peach pie. That sounds terrific, and I love peaches. And we can whack some trolls on our way there. Darnell says, morning, Ed and all. Hello, Darnell. Welcome. Just looked, yes, Rangers and Ruins along with the Yondershire were included in the FreeQuest 2022 coupon. Well, there you go.
Hey, do you finish Troll Slayer, by the way, or are we...
No, that's why I'm still killing trolls. I don't think I'm too far away. I think it says 22 of 40. In fact, I don't think I've started the Advanced Slayer deed yet. I probably only came
golden.
down and killed enough to do the quest line.
Yeah, I'm on 13 of 40 of the initial one, so yeah, it looks like you've got a lot to go.
I need some
The
thermite
good news
grenades and a devotion light machine gun. Stop trolling, Ed.
But he's so good at it.
Fellowship maneuver.
Sorry. Was too busy pew-pewing.
I know, we'll have to get you proficient at those someday.
For that one time in the game, they actually matter. The skirmish up in Angmar.
Rescue a Nazgashur.
Yep.
You can actually get kindred with the Eldgang just by running that over and over. I did that very thing on my champion on Arkenstone. The main reason I was farming it was you'd occasionally get an handful of Scarlet Crystal as a drop during the instance. But it was very occasionally, so I had to run it a bunch of times.
That was why I used to run, what was the place called? Pelagear. Used to farm Pelagear for Stars of Merit for my starlets.
And we've gotten pretty good at that.
Yeah, I got to the point where you could do it in your sleep. Excuse me.
Afroman says, I'm looking to get back into the game. What server is a good one? Whichever one you want to play on. Evernight. I play on all of the free-to-play English-speaking servers. They're all terrific. Evernight is considered a European server, so if you want to group with people, it might not be great for North American players. Arkenstone, last I heard, was the most active for player versus monster player. So it really kind of depends on what you want to do. But, yeah, those are the only caveats. I play on Brandywine, Crick Hollow, Evernight, and Arkenstone fairly regularly. I've got characters on Landerville, on Gladden, on... what other servers haven't I mentioned? Crick Hollow. I mentioned Crick Hollow. I play on Crick Hollow all the time.
Crick, yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I need more caffeine, Bacchus. I'm sure you can relate.
Very much. My coffee
So why was there nothing up in those ruins?
I don't know. And they also look very new to me. I don't think I've seen those before.
Nope, you are correct. It's definitely not standard Lone Lands fare.
I do like how they've gone back and tweaked and revisited and added.
Go yellow? Red, yellow?
Red.
That's okay. Alright, I wasn't paying attention.
You stick that in the middle of the screen where I can't miss it. Ooh, excuse me.
MacArthur says I got all the starlets I needed from festivals. Yeah, that summer festival, I used to just... I would fish until my eyes bled.
That was
Troll
the
Slayer
Yule
complete.
Festival.
Yeah. Singer says, testing some VHS, forgot how annoying it was to have to fast forward through the 3 hours of upcoming trailers and new on cassette. I've always liked movie trailers. I tend to sit and watch them even when I can skip through them. I'm not a smart man.
Getting a weird rumble type sound effect in my left ear consistently.
That's strange.
Oh.
I have no explanation for that. Afroman says, I'm going to start a new tune on Crick Hollow then. Thank you for answering my question. You're welcome. I'll look forward to seeing you on Crick Hollow sometime. MacArthur says, then again, I have booze running down to a science.
We should maybe spend some time on Crick Hollow, dust off those tunes.
We sure could.
Pay the housing bill before we lose the house.
That's not a bad idea. Antler's just saying you wish we'd brushed off the free-to-play account. That's kind of why I switched it up tonight. I'm playing the Warden because I've just spent all my Lotro time on Mandalinia for the last couple of months. The whole point of having alts is so you can do something different. The shame of it is these things are dropping so fast I can't pull off any of my really cool gambits.
Well, I can stop pew-pewing if you want.
No. It's a group effort, that's fine. I don't mind carving through them quickly and easily, that's fine. This whole cutout along the riverbank is all new.
This doesn't look familiar at all.
Exactly.
Actually, I think we're about to head down into Swanfleet.
Well, there you go. Now entering the angle.
Oh, there we go. Which is a level 45 area, so I think we do perhaps need to be a little careful.
I'm a warden. I'll kick the crap out of everything. I'm nigh invulnerable. They will rue the day I arrived here. We are on Evernight tonight. Also, we need a jump pad or a zip line so we don't have to walk around these rocks.
That would be useful. Ooh, excuse me.
Alright, let's come up here and hang a left and see where we're at.
Well, we're stuck in the rocks for now, but we can drop down here.
More trolls. Oh, it's the chief. The Bald Olog Master.
Formerly, Ologmaster. You did not make it, as you were fond of saying.
I am fond of saying it. There's a corpse in his cave, but I can't get to it to loot it.
One of the reasons I'm not getting to do Fellowship Maneuver is that it's usually they pop while I'm busy with that channeling skill of mine. And it does so much damage.
Oh, the fire one? Yeah.
Yeah. What's it called? Smoldering Wrath.
Yep. That's
I
one of
like that skill.
the 3 buttons I was hitting on my fire runekeeper. I was telling the story earlier. I was streaming Audrafina on Arkenstone a while back. Somebody was like, "Is that all you do? Is hit those 3 buttons over and over?" Yeah, pretty much. It basically kills everything.
Yeah, most mobs will go down with, what is it? SAF Fire to open, and then Essence of Flame to burn the instant proc. And then if it's still alive, you just melt them with Smoldering Wrath. And the cooldowns are short, so by the time you've run to the next mob, you're good to go again.
Yep. Okay, this hill off to my left looks new. Not recalling
I'll be there
this.
shortly.
Okay.
I don't think so much the hill, but being able to climb so far up it, yes. I think this was all fairly abrupt cliff previously.
Nice.
Yeah, being able to climb up here to the south is definitely new.
There's a half-orc bandit up here. He's gray to me. He's level 24.
Yep. There we go. Half-Orc Slayer of Cardlin. Into, whatchamacallit.
That's weird. I
before the
didn't
shadow.
get credit.
You have bought the...
Oh, this is
suspension.
Shadow before the Shadow?
Before the Shadow, yeah.
Okay.
It is pretty. Reminds me a bit of a cross between Iron Hills and Wells of Langflood.
Well, my inclination is to turn back because I can't do anything out here
Well, by all means, either way. I'm
other
just
than
following
fight gray
your
mobs.
stuff.
Okay.
Bricklayer. Yep. It certainly was quite fun.
There
If you
is a
enjoy classic MMOs, tap targeting MMOs, and you enjoy the Lord of the Rings, there's either game like it.
Ton of stuff to see and do. And you don't have to commit financially to playing it. You can play free to play, and if you want to subscribe later, you can and reap all the benefits.
It's actually quite a painless free-to-play model. If you've ever played the Old Republic and experienced that free-to-play model, this will be very refreshingly different and nicer.
I feel immersed just from watching. There are a lot of set pieces that are probably better than the movies and better than the books. The Mead Hall at Edoras is one of them. Mediceld, it's called, where Theoden King, his throne resides. It's just gorgeously rendered in the game. I mean, it's truly beautiful. You can walk through there and look at all the tapestries, and they outline the history of Rohan, and it's really terrific stuff. The city of Dol Amroth comes to mind.
And it's Tirith.
Yeah.
Well, apart from the lag.
Well, Minas Tirith gets tedious enough that it kind of robs me of the joy of seeing the place. Helm's Deep is really cool in game, although I think it was depicted pretty well in the movies. But like Dol Amroth, gorgeous
Dol Amroth
place.
is pretty.
Yeah, really like Dol Amroth. But even just strolling through the Shire is really special. The MT lag wasn't in the book, hence lore breaking. Exactly, Garther. You were exactly right. Erebor, yep.
Well, where we are now, if you look to the northwest, it's Weathertop. You should recognize that from the movie and the books. Although I think we might be a little bit far to see Weathertop from here.
I thought Lake Town was really well depicted in game.
Lake Town is good. Yeah.
A lot of the places are very much like the movie. So I remember rewatching The Two Towers, and there's the scene where Frodo meets Faramir for the first time. They're trying to skirt around Osgiliath, and Faramir's men are in the middle of a battle, and they're just being chased and hunted by orcs, and there's Nazgul there, and there's a scene where the Nazgul flies over Osgiliath, and you can see the dome of stars with the broken dome, and it's like, oh man, it's like right out of the game. I'm sure the game copied it right out of the movie, since the movie came first, of course, but I mean, that was just really, the memory of seeing that on the screen was quite vivid. Like, wow, that's just like in the game. And the Battle of Pelennor Fields, what a fantastic part of the game.
Moria in the game is incredibly well realized.
Yeah, Mines of Moria is a very special place. Not always loved by all of the players, but a lot of us think quite highly of it.
Well, I like the aesthetic a lot more than I like questing through there. I get zone fatigue.
Yeah, Forbin Kid said Moria was a lot more than just a path through the mountain. Exactly.
Yeah, you actually spend time and explore Moria. It's unlike either the books or the movie. You actually get to see Moria. And experience it a lot more. Unlike the Fellowship that's running through as fast as they can. Big boy.
Not so big you can't get spanked.
Nope. And bigger they are, harder they fall, etc.
Hot and Finberry says Isengard is like the film too. At the Ring of Isengard, and the text and tokens drawing isn't a black ring wall. Ah, Mr. Christoph says you could almost say these Fellowship fools were just flying through Moria. Fly, you fools.
Yeah, the Bridge of Khazad-dûm is quite impressive in the game. That is one deep hole. It sort of triggers my fear of heights when I'm on there and looking over the edge.
Oh, platinum. You can never have too much platinum.
Tasty, tasty platinum. Yeah, there's a couple of places in Moria. It's a hidden deed, I think. There's the well. There's a place there at to the north of Second Hall, or First Hall. There's about 3-4 places where you fling yourself to your death and eventually get
the Blind Leaper title.
Blind Leaper title. There we go. But sure, jumping down the well is my favorite way of getting to the waterworks. I cannot be bothered to take the stable there, so I just leap from crossroads each time. But Ed, that was my alarm warning me that my power's going to go off shortly, so I probably better drop out now.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out, and
Thank you.
enjoy returning to sleep.
Yep, I shall endeavour to do so. Thank you for the company and the Lotro points.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Indeed. Yep. And I don't think I'm going to be able to make it for tomorrow at all, but if I can hop in, I will.
All right. Well, we'll do our best to have fun without you.
Oh, you do that. I'm sure Rem will be devastated and unable to control his disappointment or contain it. But yeah, in the meantime, ladies, gentlemen, take care, have a good one, and we will see you again soon. Just as.
See you, Bacchus. Oh, stupid warrior got too close. I was going to do an ambush. One of the problems with wardens is that getting stunned interrupts your gambits. So you can be starting a gambit and then have to start it over. It's been a few years. When did wardens get a little follower? I don't remember that. I'm using a feature called Skirmish Soldier on Landscape. Well, the main reason I fired him up is just because I've got a bunch of extra tokens I've gotten as Hobbit presents. I want to burn them off because if you get too many of them, they just take up room in your inventory. But he's basically just a pet. Any character class can use a landscape soldier. And you can rename him. Arrow fodder. Companion name invalid. That's unfortunate. Okay, the entire concept was after my time. Yeah. They keep changing and fussing stuff. There's new character classes and lots of new expansions and different loot systems. Essence armor, they completely changed the legendary weapon system. Most people agree that was for the better. I'll quit trying to rename my companion and go kill more trolls. That's embarrassing. I wasn't able to follow up the ambush attack with critical strike. He was standing on this rock or tree root or whatever it is, and I couldn't get in the right position. It messed me up. Let's try it with this guy. I always try to do my critical strike from their back, hoping that it might increase my chances of hitting critical. I don't know if it affects it or not. A lot of people don't realize that burglars, even without using a special attack, if they're on the flank or rear of an opponent, they get bonus damage just from being in the right position. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If you have never played a burglar in Lotro, you are missing out. It is a tremendously fun character class. Well, this must be the Anduin. I think I'm going to dismiss my warrior because he just keeps aggroing stuff when I'm trying to ambush it. He's kind of upsetting me. Go away. There we go. I could do my best Ren imitation. You idiot! That was my very first main. Conjunctions for the win. Okay then. Alright, I've polished off the smoked almonds. I am moving to the sweet chili pistachios. I think I'm pretty close to done. I think that says I'm at 70 of 80. He just did not want to go down. Oh man. That ambush followed up with that critical strike. If you can crit on the critical strike, it's almost like using a burglar's coup de grace. I had that troll at half health before it even stood back up. That time I did not crit. You're not a troll. You're just a little hatchling. Deathman42 says, hey, I'm looking for quality Lotro play, so no idea why I'm here. You're definitely lost if you're looking for quality Lotro play, Deathman. But you're welcome to hang out anyway. You missed Bacchus. He had to go. Something about not being able to play without electricity. Oh, Shooty Boats Master. Pot and Finberry says, nope, no good playing here. Plus, you learn nothing. Exactly. Just that Ed likes to snack and drink soda. Stuff you guys already knew. think that troll just sneezed. Troll Slayer advanced. We get to go back to civilization. New deed, Slayer of the Lonelands. That's my first Slayer deed out here. And I should have the Ostgaruth travel point. Stelden, Trestle Bridge, Muster, and Ostgaruth. So Wardens have very similar travel skills to Hunters, but they can only muster themselves. They cannot help their party travel. Bar is low, Deathman. You're not wrong.
Greetings.
I just realized something wonderful. I'm on a different character, so I get to do task item turn-ins again. Fewer locations to travel to as well with their muster skill, sadly. They do get a lot of travel skills, though. I'm speaking as somebody who doesn't play a lot of Hunter. From my viewpoint, both classes are spoiled. Okay, looks like we at least got to the bottom of the loot pile.
What can I do for you?
Canna checking in. Hi, Canna. There's return to skills as well. Ah, new tune. What server is this tune on? Evernight. Well, that seems like a pretty good deal, Forbin Kid. The only other thing I could think of is if there's a race or character class you don't have yet, like Brawler or... well, they gave High Elf away, and I think they gave Stout Axe Dwarf away. So, Brawler. Or Bjorning, maybe. I think, no, you can have Bjornings now, too. I have a Bjorning. But if you don't have the Brawler class, you might get a slot with the class. So it might be more cost effective to go ahead and pay for the class instead of just buying a slot. I am an explorer. Tailor, forester, prospector. Oh, pretty advanced at that.
What do you need?
Ooh, I apologize. There's been a lot of that, Deathman. Okay, I have a pack space and my overflow inventory is clear. We are good to go. Oh, and there was a class trait reset and I probably need to retrait. Let's take a look, shall we? Okay, respect. Oh dear. Supposed to go talk to somebody. Not the Forsaken Inn. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, don't see me doing that right away. Archlord Twitch says hi. Hello, Archlord. Welcome. Thanks for coming by and checking out the stream. We have found Radagast. Look out, world. Here comes the new and improved Radigan. Exactly. Forbin Kid says, I'm VIP, but started a free-to-play account to try and maybe run with friends. There you go. Can never have too many characters on too many servers. That way you can always find folks to play with. I'm going to open another beverage. I'll be right back. I need life-giving caffeine. Share stream hype. And we're back. Excited to be back. Do you have your run boost on, Ed? Well, I don't know where I'm going yet, so there's no reason to get there faster. What are we drinking? I bought 3 6-packs of Coke Zero Sugar. It is still chilling in the fridge. So this is my last Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. And the current snack is sweet chili pistachios. And they are already shelled for me. No Coke of the Zero. I had to buy some more and it's still warm. It's chilling right now. Although ironically, if I left it outside instead of putting it in the fridge, it would have gotten cool a lot faster. Ooh, let's hunt some bog lurkers. I guess we can kill the undead. I remember I used to play the game quite a bit back in the day. The good news is it's still here. If you don't have any other MMOs you're currently playing, you're interested in coming back, there's tons of new content, new character classes. We were talking about really nice places in game that are well represented. Mordor. They did a really nice job of realizing Mordor. Enmity of the Dead 3 complete. Excellent. Ooh, see, that killed him dead. Hooray for ambush. try that again. Didn't crit that time. Still got him down to half damage before he could stand back up. Fun fact about the Circle of Blood, it is completely fishable. Although, in order for me to prove that fact, I'm going to say I refuse to believe I have a character that doesn't have a fishing pole. Let's see if I can pop a couple of things. Perfectly fishable. A little creepy looking, but perfectly fishable. I mostly played WoW, but I got into Lotro as well. Excuse me a moment. That's true. It's going to be warmer tomorrow than it was today. Go ahead and say hi to everybody on stream, Pookie.
Hi, everybody on stream.
There you go. Lots of folks have been asking about you, wishing you well.
I know. I'll get out of here.
I know you do, sweetie. All right, Pookie, get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow.
Jobber.
Bye. And there you are, a live check-in from Mrs. M. Yeah, I actually have my stream schedule up on my personal channel. Lotro Stream is the official channel of Standing Stone Games, the developer. What am I doing? Streamer, there we go. But if you come by my channel, I stream Lotro, I stream a little Apex Legends, World of Warships. I've been streaming Witcher 3. I have streamed Rocket League in the past.
Looking for Big Ed Mustafa?
I'm Big Ed Mustafa. Archlord Twitch, thank you for the follow. And I'm a radio control pilot, and I have a couple of radio control flight sims, and I'll stream those occasionally. They're kind of fun. People like watching me crash. My lack of talent and skill occasionally shines through. I have streamed Fallout 76 and probably will again at some future point. I'm taking a break from that game. So yeah, I play and stream a variety of things. Lotro, I stream and play a lot. Saturday evenings, I play with a friend of mine I've played with for quite a few years. And on Wednesday nights, I have a regular group. I don't know if I'd call it a raid group, but 5 of my buddies, we get together every Wednesday and run a group, and then occasionally other friends will join us and we'll try to do raids and group content together. So when are we seeing Asheron's Call again? That's a great question. I actually did stream Asheron's Call a couple of times right before they shut the servers down. Antler says, "Alright folks, I'm off to bed, work in the morning." Antler, you have a great night, buddy. And here we were thinking it was your bookies for NFL picks. The only thing I can tell you for sure is don't bet on the Seahawks versus the Niners. Other than that, we'll just see what happens. Should be a great weekend for NFL football, though. A lot of great playoff matchups, a lot of interesting stories. We'll just have to see how it goes. Still the middle of summer here, but our winter sports start their preseason soon. Y'all play any ice hockey down in New Zealand, Deathman? Not much. It's surprisingly popular here in Omaha. Mr. Christoph says, "I'm out for the night as well. Take care, Mustafa and friends." Take care, Mr. Christoph. We don't have that many indoor arenas here for it. The University of Nebraska at Omaha has a nationally ranked collegiate hockey program, and there's a semi-pro team called the Omaha Lancers that draws a pretty good following. And I think Lincoln, Nebraska has a team, the Stars, that they play the Lancers reasonably frequently. So I think that's still a thing. I don't pay attention that much. So, yeah, one of the problems with Nebraska is there's no professional sports. No baseball, no hockey, no basketball, no professional football. We have college football, we have college sports, we have semi-pro, we have AAA baseball. The Kansas City Royals have a farm team here called the Omaha Storm Chasers. And the big baseball event every year, we do host the College World Series, which is a lot of fun. But it's one of those deals where most people go, there's a College World Series? And Omaha's kind of a good fit because we're small enough that we make a big deal out of it. And it probably wouldn't be as big of an event as it is if Omaha wasn't making such a fuss. But ESPN normally broadcasts all the College World Series games every summer. That takes place in June. Good times. Netball and basketball are the main indoor sports, and squash here. I used to play a bit of racquetball myself. I always enjoyed it. I wish I could. I don't even know where the hell I'd go to play racquetball anymore. Could definitely stand the exercise. Archlord says, I'm pretty burnt out gaming and grinding. I've been doing it for 25 years, both pro and casual. You know, I'm sorry to hear you've burned out. For me, I'm a long-time gamer. I mean, man, my first PC I built, I still have my original Amiga 500, and behind me on the shelf is a box. It's right here, as a matter of fact. Those are my floppy disks for my Amiga 500. Skyfox, Defender of the Crown, Bard's Tale. I've got a bunch of OG games. My first PC was a Smith Corona 286 word processor that I put a hard drive in and bypassed the word processor BIOS on and loaded Windows on it. Yeah, I go back to when Doom was shiny and new. Early 90s? You better have Wing Commander. Boy, what systems did I have Wing Commander on? I did play a lot of Wing Commander. I don't think it was on the Amiga. In fact, I enjoyed the Wing Commander series quite a bit. That was either on the PC or on an older console, though. I tried squash, but licked racquetball better. Liked racquetball better. Well, if you lick your racquetball, then, you know, more power to you. It's your racquetball. Do what you want with it. How long do you reckon it would take to hit max level in Lotro? The character I normally play on... Well, I play her a lot, but not a ton. I mean, let's say 3 nights a week for 2 to 3 hours at a time. Mandalini is leveled to 140th, probably 18 months. I mean, that was not... Lotro's very much the journey and not the destination. There's one of the reasons why I'm playing my Warden tonight is once you get to max level, there's not a lot to do. And you try to explain that to people, and it's like there's nothing magical waiting for you at level max other than they put some grinds in so you've got something to do while you're waiting for the next update, the next expansion. And it's like, yeah, enjoy the trip, enjoy traveling and exploring Middle Earth. Don't worry about being level 140. Took me 13 years to get one character to max level. Warg Slayer complete. If you want to race it, not that long, but why? Yeah, there you go. Not that long. One of the ironic things about Lotro is the higher level you get, the easier it is to level up. The first 20-25 levels come pretty quickly. There's a little bit of a slowdown from about 30 to 45, but in my opinion, once you hit Moria, you leveling just becomes kind of second nature. You tend to level pretty fast. What's nice about it is the game is so story driven. If you actually read the quest logs and pay attention to the storylines, I mean, it's like, oh, I leveled? Okay. I mean, it's not, I've never even focused on it. I think when I hit level 140, somebody was like, congratulations, and I'm like, oh, this will be so awesome, it's going to be way more powerful than I was at level 139. Yeah, it's not that big of a difference. The new areas, no way I'm going back to Shadow of Angmar intro. Darnolf says, I recall the other big-time leveling that took ages was in Western Rohan, around level 90. That took ages for me. Well, I think that's kind of an initial playthrough thing. Once you get familiar with the quest lines and you kind of know the geography, it's always slowest to level up your first character because you're kind of just learning the ropes and which areas to go to. By your third character, you should be able to get everything leveled up pretty quickly. It doesn't take very long. And what was funny about Mandalinia is we started our characters at level 1 specifically for that Wednesday night play group, and she's done very little of the landscape quests that are easy and provide most of the XP. A lot of what we've done with Mandalinia was all group content, which may not be the most efficient way to level, but it was a lot of fun doing that. I've gotten to see and play through some stuff that I've never seen before. I think my first time through Dragok was with this group. And a lot of these new instances and raids that we're doing, I hadn't done before. I'd done the fair amount of epic battles, but that 12-man Deeping Wall epic battle, that's crazy fun. I can't believe how hectic that gets. I mean, you just want to really talk about testing your group's mettle. We had a lot of fun running that. Don't need to kill the Tusker. What else we got over here? Oh, there should be plenty of wargs. Be very quiet. I'm hunting warg. There we go. There's a couple of good crit hits. Never had a chance. Took him right out. Two-and-a-half-year break. Just logged in to pay your house's upkeep basically and on my main server. He did not make it. Zero the Hero checking in. Have you ever tried WoW Classic? I've taken a break from Lotro and I've really been enjoying it. I have a WoW account. I play free to play. I think you can go up to level 20. I had bought WoW when it first released, I think 2003. Was really excited about it. Had loved Warcraft and Warcraft 2. And thought a World of Warcraft MMO was a terrific idea. And the problem with the game initially, I got a character up to like level 15 fairly quickly, and when it first launched, it was very group heavy. So what was typical for me when I first started playing it back at launch, wow, that was quite the shot. You'd spend about 45 minutes getting a group together to go run some content, and then you'd play for about 15 minutes, and then somebody'd have to log off or go to dinner or head off to work, and the party would split up, and then you'd spend another 45 minutes trying to get another party put together. So it was 15 minutes out of every hour of actual play time. And I didn't have a bunch of buddies who got it the first month it was out. So I was basically just playing with randos, and I found the whole group requirement a bit taxing and just didn't enjoy it. The game was great. I was looking forward to playing it, but it just wasn't going to work out for me initially, and I only played about 15 of my initial 30 days. I never did subscribe. I didn't finish the free 30 days that came with purchasing the game. So I don't dislike WoW, but my initial intro into the game wasn't positive, and I just never went back. I've played WoW, I played EverQuest back in the day. I dabbled with EverQuest 2 when they had a kind of a trial thing going. I'd played some Dark Age of Camelot. I was a big Asheron's Call subscriber for a number of years. Big EVE Online subscriber for a number of years. Really liked EVE Online. I do still play and stream that on rare occasions. And then Shadowbane. I think I don't remember if I bought Shadowbane or if you were able to play it in beta for a while. But I checked out Shadowbane when it launched. Zero the Hero says, fair enough. Boy, Goofy. Did I miss Goofy Old Lady saying hi? Oh, there she is. Hi, Goofy. I tried, oh, good lord, Anarchy Online. I just remember how mad the player base was at that game. Somebody in the AC Vault forums back in the day, their signature was, Funko, we're putting FU back into fun. Yeah, it was an interesting idea. I think anybody who strikes out with original content, it should be commended. I liked Asheron's Call because it wasn't standard elves and dwarves fare. They had, original races and original monsters and a unique storyline. There was a lot to like about Asheron's Call. I subscribed to that for about a decade. But I had a friend who wanted to play some World of Warcraft, and I mentioned that I have an account, and what server are you on? and then he was on some other. The way they split it up, I don't even understand how you're supposed to find your friends. It's like they have different servers for different versions of World of Warcraft, and I just don't know enough about the server structure to even know how a lot of that works. So that's been problematic. I do also have a Dungeons and Dragons Online account. When I looked at both Lotro and DDO back in their beta periods, I actually liked Dungeons and Dragons Online better initially. But I was playing a lot of EVE Online, I was playing a lot of Asheron's Call, and didn't really want to subscribe to a third MMO. So it wasn't until after I dropped my subscription to Asheron's Call, and I was spending a lot of time at the Radio Control Airfield and got really involved with the club. But when winter came, or once it got dark out, I kind of wanted an MMO to go back to. And DDO and Lord of the Rings Online had gone free to play. So I went back to both of them and took a look. And just related to Lotro better. They'd made some major changes to DDO Online. And it felt unfamiliar. And I'm like, what did they do here? And it just kind of threw me off. And Lotro looked and felt a lot like it did back when I was playing the beta. Retail isn't an MMO anymore almost, but Classic, it's great. Deathman says it all came down to fishing. So there's a lot of Lotro players who play and stream Lotro and WoW, or Lotro and DDO. I played some Elder Scrolls Online. They did a free weekend, and I dabbled in that. That seemed like it might be okay. But like, what was the one I was... And when I say dogging on it, I mean, a lot of people were excited about New World. Oh, are you going to play New World, Ed? Are you going to check out New World? And the question I always asked was, what's the storyline? You know, one of the things I like about Lotro is there's a very well-defined storyline. There's a lot of stuff going on in Middle-earth. And there's things that are happening and people moving and shaking, and you know there's this war going on, and you get to kind of weave yourself in and out of a lot of different storylines as you play. And Asheron's Call was like that. Then Turbine, now Standing Stone Games, they did a fantastic job with the lore in Asheron's Call, and it was all original storytelling. And I would sometimes log into the game and just sit in our kin house and read the in-game lore off of in-game books and scrolls. It was that fascinating. And there was a race of sorcerers, the Empyreans, and they were dabbling with portal magic, and they accidentally opened a portal to a world of an alien species. And when I say alien, I mean the creatures are like the monsters from the Aliens movies. The Ulthoi were large insects with acid for blood that could spray acid, and they did vicious amounts of piercing damage and were very tough to fight. And the Ulthoi came and invaded the continent of Dareth, which was a continent on a greater world. And the Empyreans either fled or retreated to sanctuaries so they could escape the Ulthoi. And they open portals to your homeworld One of the sorcerers who did this was a sorcerer named Acheron, and Acheron opened portals to the homeworld that the Illuvians, the Garandim, and the show came from. And the idea was to draw adventurers who could help the Empyrean battle the Ulthoi, while the Empyrean tried to figure out how to get the portals the Ulthois were coming through closed. And the problem they had was their portal magic attracted other problems. There was a race of disembodied alien sorcerers, the Verindi, that were really cool looking. They just basically looked like ghosts in purple robes wearing masks. They were very creepy looking and very powerful magic users, and would also be a complete pain in the ass to fight. So anyway, the whole point was, again, well-defined story, very interesting background material, terrific in-game lore. And when everybody got all excited about New World, and it was like, hey, Ed, are you going to check out New World? I just asked one question. What's the story behind the game? Well, you can claim territory and gather rare resources. I'm like, okay, well that's basically EVE Online, and I was playing that 20 years ago. So what's going to make New World great? Well, the graphics are really cool. And then the funny part was, some of my other friends would be like, well, there's fishing in game, and the fishing system's really good. And it's like, yeah, I have Pro Fishing Simulator World Tour, so I guarantee you the fishing mechanics in that game are better than anything New World's going to have. Oh, Forbin Kid says my current coffee mug is the Verindi picture on it. That's awesome. Deathman says sounds like Stargate. Might be. Forbin Kid says my D&D Dungeon Master had a sister that played AC with us. She met her husband through chatting in the house on Eastham Beach. Oh man, I remember getting to Eastham Beach for the first time. It was like level 7 or 8, and it was covered with azure gromnies and drudges. It was just so fun. And that was my first MMO back in '99. I mean, just seeing a bunch of other live players in the same game was so mind-bending at the time. EverQuest had been out for about 6 months. Meridian 59 had been out before that. And I remember seeing the box for Meridian 59 in a store. And it was like, wow, a multiplayer graphical dungeon? Man, that would be amazing if it actually worked. I mean, I didn't even believe the technology was going to be functional. It'd be like being the first guy on the block to buy a hydrogen car. It's like, well, gee, I hope this works okay. Good luck. But I mean, EverQuest was kind of the 800-pound gorilla back in the day. And Acheron's Call released mostly positive reviews. Sega Bass Fishing is the best. I still have my fishing rod controller for Sega Bass Fishing on the Dreamcast, and my copy of the game out there somewhere. And in fact, I have my original boxed copy of Acheron's Call that I bought at Best Buy November of 1999. This would have been about 30 days after the launch. Ultima Online and EverQuest had very rough launches, and I didn't want to jump into Acheron's Call right away until they got the servers stabilized. And but this is where Standing Stone Games got its start. I thought there was a map included in the box. Oh yeah, there's a map here. Owner's manual. What's funny is I don't think there's a disc in there. Keyboard commands. Map of Dareth. Good times. Oh, the disc is in here. Who knew? What the hell is that? I don't even know. Boom, original disc. Software key on the back. $25 years old. Maybe older, I don't remember. But I was playing Apex Legends with a kid named Jedi Sketch, and I was laughing. He was 13 or 14 years old when he started wanting to hang out with us and play Apex. And I got a chuckle out of the fact that I had video game characters that were older than he was, including my original Lotro character, which is Galandriel, my champion on Arkenstone. Heck, somewhere I still have keyboard overlays for games, exactly. Oh, the Dire Lands? Oh, man. So, Forbin Kid, I was the one who basically browbeat the dev team into adding the Addle, because Ben Lee Sung, my main character, was an original template Blade Master with thrown weapons. And I was just adamant about it. I used to post on the forums, it's like, look, 3 of the original character classes from the game have thrown weapons by default. You've got to make it usable. If you've got no other ideas, then just make a thrown weapons launcher. You can call it an Addle, you can call it a spear sling, you can call it whatever you want to call it, but that gives thrown weapons a launcher. And then you can just integrate it the same way you have bow and crossbow. And they actually implemented my suggestions. And one of my favorite things to do with my Blade Master, I would run around out on the Obsidian Plain in the Dire Lands, and if you had a piercing imbued Addle with the high quality piercing javelins, you could go out there and just hunt grievers willy-nilly and 1 or 2 shot them. It was just super fun to go out there and just run around picking off grievers. Really enjoyed that. There weren't too many things that weren't susceptible to high piercing damage. Like it's pork chops for dinner. So yeah, I mean that game had long legs. What was fun about it was, you know, a lot of the games, the MMOs felt a little slow. They were a little stodgy. I remember EverQuest back in the day. Everybody was always looking for a, what was it, a sow spell to basically just make your characters run faster because everything was just ploddingly slow. And Asheron's Call, the combat was real time and it felt like you were playing a first person shooter. You could physically duck spells just by, you know, hopping out of the way. I mean, it wasn't always possible, but I mean, it could be done. And it made the player versus player interaction a lot more interesting. And it was just really cool. And it was fairly unique for its time and is still fairly unique. Me and Mage had to know what Vuln each character was. I had a battle mage named Assad Khalil. I had one of the things I was proud of. My crafting mule wasn't a mule. I developed an unarmed combat character who could actually functionally quest and adventure on his own, but was my Fletcher alchemist cook. Had all the crafting skills too, but was just I just spec'd him exactly right to be able to level himself with unarmed combat. And there were no mule characters. Everybody was playable, everybody was functional. And I think I called him Min the Merchant was that character's name. And Min kicked ass. He was like the world's baddest ass mule, crafting mule. Because he wasn't a mule. I didn't know anybody else who had a crafting main who could, go solo the Ulthoi Horde Nest. Yeah. You drop stuff on landscape and try to get your other character logged in time to pick it up. Good times. I never understood why Warner Brothers was so adamant that Asheron's Call die. It was so weird at the end. It was just like, no, you can't have the source code. No, you can't have our intellectual property. We want this game dead. It was like, why? Why are you so dead set on crushing a 17-year-old sustained world? I mean, I remember the news stories about people being brought to tears when they shut the servers off. I had a good time playing it at the end. It was kind of a nostalgia wave, but it played and felt like an old game. It definitely looked like an old game. But I mean, people are still playing RuneScape, and people are playing. There's some really old MMO titles that are still around in various forms that are still doing fine. So, shame really. Although what was funny about it is when they launched Asheron's Call 2, I was just dead certain that was going to kill off the original Asheron's Call. And amusingly enough, it died way before Asheron's Call did. Asheron's Call 2 only lasted a few years. My last day, I spent a few hours and ran around the outside of the island. That was always fun. They're going to kill Lotro and DDO too, if not for Solitaire Standing Stone Games. Yeah, we're very lucky to still be playing this game. Warner Brothers had their way, it would be dead and gone. We can make more money for shareholders doing mobile games. Like, ugh. Dr. Bricklayer says, were you looking forward to Amazon's Lotro MMO? I'd been skeptical. They'd tried an MMO before New World, and I kind of knew New World was going to be a stinker when, the only thing I could get out of people was, well, you can, claim territory and harvest rare resources. It's like, yeah, that's not a game. That's just a farming sim. And everybody went and played New World, and it was pretty, and the graphics engine was nice, and there wasn't enough game there to sustain a lot of people's interest. So most of the people I know who bought New World were done with it within a few months. It just didn't have any staying power. I know they're still trying to develop content for it and trying to improve it, and I hope they get there. The worst thing in the world for anybody who enjoys MMOs is to have a big budget MMO come out and die. All that does is make it that much less likely that anybody else is going to try to develop a new MMO. It's not good for the industry. It's not good for the category of games. So I hope New World gets its poop in a group and excites the player base and starts drawing new players again. That would be good for everybody. They had a game they put out before that by reputation wasn't any good either. I don't remember the title off the top of my head, but when Amazon Games produces a good game, it will be the first one. So I didn't have a lot of expectations for the Lotro title. I was a bit surprised when it got canceled, but it's like, okay, you know, whatever. Yeah, my understanding was the partnership agreement, they were working with Tencent and they just couldn't get together. Revenue sharing and licensing and who knows. They were going to kill Lotro and DDO. Last day, ran around the island. The Amazon Lotro MMO died, didn't it? They fell out with their partner, Tencent? Yes. I can't remember the MMO before it. It might not have even been an MMO. It might have just been a virtual world like Second Life or something. I don't remember. But Amazon just hasn't produced any quality titles. My opinion, not Standing Stone Games. And I have friends that still like New World and are still playing it. I also remember when Elder Scrolls Online was released, it was a complete hot mess. Nobody was happy with it. That was a complete turd that dropped. And the development team went back and they spent over a year fixing that game and revamping it and straightening it out. And lo and behold, I mean, it's still around and quite successful. And that was a very good thing. Like I said, it's not good for the industry to have another game fail. Just makes it that much harder to draw development money and to draw capital that's needed to produce these things and maintain them. Someone roast Zuckerberg on his meta thing and pointed out it's not as good as Second Life. Yeah, I mean, it's... To me, the metaverse is going to be to gaming what Applebee's is to restaurants. It's like, okay, let the people who accept that level of quality go there so they're not in my way. I'll go to the good restaurants and play the good games. Well, I'm pretty close to finishing a couple other Slayer deeds here. See if we can get these wrapped up. fact, I vow to stay on until I've completed more Slayer deeds. How about that? The caffeine's holding up pretty good. We had a pretty long stream last week. I think I ran for about 4 hours. Typical Adventures After Dark normally runs about 3 hours. I'll go from 9 till midnight, and I usually get tuckered out. End of a long week, that kind of thing. But last Friday, I think I was jacked on those Rockstar energy drinks. So those kind of kept me going. Even though they didn't taste very good. There was something just a little off-putting about them. They had kind of a weird, almost a peppery finish to them. The promise no one asked for, like a Cowgirls Super Bowl. Well, I remember some classic Super Bowls, mostly where the Pittsburgh Steelers humiliated Dallas over and over. But man, Steelers Cowboys back in the 70s, that was almost an annual occurrence. I'd guess they probably met in 3 different Super Bowls. I'd have to look it up to know, though. If anybody wants to fact check me on that. I know they met in at least 2 Super Bowls. I don't think they ever beat, the Cowboys never beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl. When they won, they played other teams. Steelers and Raiders in the AFC Championship almost every year at that time as well. Yeah, it's a shame. I don't think people remember how great the Raiders were for a long time. And what did they call it? The Black and Blue Bowl? When Pittsburgh met the Raiders in the playoffs, man, it was never dull. It was always just a dogfight. It was, hey, Kraban Slayer complete. Another one down. And of course, one of the most important things to do if you're free to play, complete your Slayer deeds. Wiping your deed log and getting all of your deeds done is a great way to earn lots of Lotro points. Wasn't that when Madden was coaching? Yes. Madden said that whenever the Raiders played the Steelers, weird stuff always happened, like the Immaculate Reception. That pass just went bouncing off of somebody and, went like 40 feet the wrong way and ended up landing right in Franco Harris's arms. The FC was pretty strong back then. Chiefs were good as well. Yeah. And it was the early 80s when I started following the Seahawks. Chuck Knox was the head coach, and they had Zorn and Craig as quarterback, and Steve Largent catching touchdown passes, and Kurt Warner was an African-American running back instead of a white quarterback. Seahawks were good back then, too. They had just become a franchise. I think 77 was the Seahawks' first year in the league. I think they came in the same time the New Orleans Saints did. Not 100% positive on that, but I think I'm correct. And so, yeah, it was a big deal for them to get into the playoffs within, let's say 4 or 5 years of getting franchised. Seahawks were in the AFC West back then with the Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, and Broncos. Yes, they were. And that was how I kind of discovered them. In Omaha, we mostly got Chiefs and Broncos games, and I got to see the Seahawks 4 times a year when they played their division rivals. It's like, hey, these guys with the birds on their helmets are pretty good. And Chuck Knox was the first coach in NFL history to take 3 different teams to the playoffs. Oh, the same time as Tampa Bay. Okay, thank you. Hey, can I buy Before the Shadows with Lotro points? Yeah, not yet. I'm in the same boat, Stun Striker. I need to get it, and I'm going to wait till it's available in the store. How many years does Pete Carroll have left, do you think? You get a Geno Smith-led team to the playoffs, you can coach as long as you want. Deathman says 6 months. That's a ways off. I don't know. I mean, football coaches can coach long past how long you think they should. If he's still feeling good, still having fun, doesn't mind grinding the hours that are required. I mean, you want to talk about a tough job. NFL head coach. Good Lord. The hours those guys put in and the amount of work, I can't even imagine. Carroll's the oldest coach in the league now, I think. I'd believe it. They're at the office at 4 a.m. and leave the office at midnight, it seems. Yeah. And the lows have got to be brutal. I mean, I saw the Houston Texans let Lovie Smith go after one season. That poor guy just can't catch a break. I mean, ugh. Former Bears head coach, former University of Illinois head coach. Now the Texans fired him after one season. But they get paid a bunch too. Well, you don't have to remind us here in Nebraska. We're paying Matt Rule like $9 million a year. I heard that number. I was like, no, that can't possibly be right. We were paying Scott Frost like $5 million, and they cut his salary back to $4 million. It's like we're going to pay Matt Rule twice as much as Scott Frost. The pressure is going to be amazing. It's like, yeah, we know it's still your first season, but we really expect a national championship. One of the problems with the Cornhusker football program is the fan base is just detached from reality. I have no explanation for what the problem is. Uh-oh, I'm dropping loot. Are you going to lose anything good? Yeah. It's all good. But it all looks like stuff I already have piles of, too. How many undead do I need to kill a lot of undead. I think I'm like 65 away on Undead Slayer Advanced. That I will not try to finish tonight. That's going to be maybe some other time thing. War Singers. Wargs I should be able to finish up though. Geekster says Texans are a mess. Yes, they are. It's like they say in soccer, there's two types of coaches, those who have been fired and those about to be fired. Yeah. Oh, I'm not nearly as close on wargs as I thought. I still need to kill 60 more wargs. Okay, never mind. We probably won't be finishing that. Maybe it was orcs I was close on. Let's go murder some orcs, or did I finish orcs already? Orcs and wargs, orcs and wargs. Let's go murder some orcs and wargs. Tough to dethrone the SEC. They seem to be able to keep recruiting most of the top talent. Yeah, and there's something systemically wrong at Nebraska. And, I mean, it goes beyond coaching. I mean, I would argue from a coaching standpoint, we've had some pretty good talent. You know, people point at the results, and they're like, well, that wasn't a good coach. And it's like, not getting it done and not getting it done at Nebraska are two different things, unfortunately. Like Bill Callahan, they fired him, and he did some really exciting stuff with the offense, but the defense was such a huge letdown. I was of the opinion that they should have just let him fire the defensive coordinator and try to rebuild the defense. Because his big letdown was the defense was so atrocious. Bo Pelini was good at Nebraska, but it never occurred to him that he needed to improve anything himself. It got to the point with Pelini that he just, you could look at the schedule before the beginning of the season and be like, okay, that's a win, that's a win, that's a win. We're going to lose that game. We're going to come back and beat this game and beat this team and look like world beaters after we lost that one. We'll win this one, we'll win this one, we're going to lose to these guys. And you could call the whole season before it started. And Pelini was just never willing to look at himself and figure out what he needed to improve on. It was always somebody else's fault, or it's just like, okay, never mind. I thought he was a great hire, and I was happy to see him go. Callahan was not even available when they fired Pelini, and it was just dumb luck that Nebraska was able to get him. And, you know, like I said, his defensive coordinator was terrible. And that's what got Callahan driven out. The other problem Nebraska's had is they've been replacing athletic directors, and then the athletic director wants to get rid of the coach and bring in his guy. And then when his guy doesn't work out, he gets fired, and then they fire the coach the next year. We've just been through the cycle of churning through coaches and athletic directors for probably more than we should. Do top talent want to play there? No. We've gotten very good talent. We're not getting a lot of... They talk about 5 stars and 4 stars. Nebraska can get a lot of good 3-star talent. But like some of the stuff we used to do, the strength training at Nebraska was fairly unique back in the day. And now everybody's got good strength training programs, strength and nutrition. We used to build and develop players, and now it's like we don't put the time into these kids, and we want them to, you know, show up ready-made to go start in Lincoln. And, you know, like the offensive line's been terrible for years and years and years. It's been a really long time since an offensive or defensive lineman went to the pros from Nebraska. And that used to be our strength. I mean, the University of Wisconsin looks like the new Nebraska. 4 yards in a cloud of dust was always our battle cry, but we could just go out, push the other team off the line of scrimmage, and get 4 or 5 yards a run. And it wasn't exciting, and there weren't tons of big plays, but every once in a while the running backs would be able to break a long one. But we were able to just go out, control the line of scrimmage, and pound our opponents into submission. And Wisconsin does that now, and Nebraska's just lost the plot. They don't develop players. They can still recruit good talent, but I mean, it's only going to get harder and harder to do that because guys want to win. But it's also important to have NFL contacts on staff so that you can talk high-level talent into coming to a less than premium school if they think they're going to get a lot of playing time and be visible. It's like, do you want to struggle to compete at Ohio State and maybe not even get a start games? Or do you want to come and be a shining star at Nebraska? And yeah, maybe you won't win a national championship in Nebraska, but you're a Big Ten school. Scouts will see you play, and you will have a good shot at a professional career if you come here. And I mean, those are the kind of recruiting considerations that they'll put out there. But it's just, they're spending money on facilities, they're spending money on whatever else they need to spend money on, but they're just not getting it done. The coaching carousel hasn't improved anything. Now you've got a player carousel to deal with. Our quarterback, Adrian Martinez, went down to Kansas State and had a hell of a year when he was just getting worse and worse and worse playing here. Don't know why. I've heard a lot of rumors about Scott Frost. The idea that he could come to Nebraska with his coaching pedigree, come home and not succeed here, just never crossed my mind. When they hired him, it was like, oh, thank God. Our 15 years malaise is over with and we're going to be good again. And nope. Ginger says, I have to call it a day. Have fun. I think all of this college football talk put Ginger to sleep. Geekster says, and of course then some of the recruits that the coach recruited leave when the coach leaves. Sounds like a toxic environment. It's just things are messed up, and I think the fan base and the university itself has to take a lot of the blame. I was in favor of sticking with Frost. I never would have fired him 3 weeks into the season like they did. It's like, you're going to finish out the year and then we'll make the change. To Mickey Joseph's credit, he did get, what did he have, 1 or 2 more wins than Frost had? But we're really big on the Husker tradition and Husker Nation and the black shirts and all of the stuff about the Huskers. My niece and nephew, I have to explain to them why people care about Cornhusker football in the state of Nebraska. It's like, I know it hasn't happened in your lifetime, kids, but we used to be good and win stuff. I mean, you've got a whole generation growing up that hasn't experienced good Cornhusker football, which is a very, very sad state of affairs. So, but yeah, we're just going to keep throwing money at it until we find the right combinations. So everybody's all jacked about Matt Rule and what a great hire he was and all the good things he did at Baylor and Temple, and he's going to do it for Nebraska. And it's like, really? I don't know, Baylor and Temple were ever good previously. You know, maybe Rule will come in and work miracles, and you know, he gets the team back to 9-3 and doesn't win a division title, much less a conference championship in the Big Ten. He's going to be no better than Bo Pelini, and we fired Pelini. You know, and at this point, that would be a dreamlike result. It's like, yeah, well, we didn't win our division battle, and we didn't get to the conference championship, but we were 9-3, and everybody in Huskerland would be like, "We're awesome." And you know, that wasn't good enough back when Pelini was coaching. And as good as the coaching talent was, I even thought Mike Riley was a pretty good football coach. And you know, the team was competitive. He did fine. The stories came out after he got let go that because I think they let his athletic director go too. And it came out after he got fired that he was on a real short leash, and the athletic director was calling a lot of the shots and not letting the coach run the team the way he wanted to run the team. And it's like, well, I mean, maybe we didn't get to see Mike Riley at his best, but you know, if you're going to make that deal to get the job, then you know, that's just a poor coaching decision there. So you can't give the store away. But Riley was a good coach. Callahan was an excellent coach. Pelini was very good. Frank Solich was good. But I think with Solich, you know, he'd been at the program 30 years plus by the time he got the head coaching job. And I think, you know, he was like, okay, it's my turn to sit back and make money while we roll over people. And there wasn't the effort in recruiting, and there wasn't the effort in player development. And that downhill coast has just gotten worse and worse. I had no intention of talking college football this much. You guys roped me into it. Shame on you. So we'll see what the fall brings for the Cornhuskers. In the meantime, go Seahawks. All they have to do is go down to Santa Clara and beat the Niners this weekend. We'll see where it goes from there. Go sports ball. Exactly. Nice to see Deathman doing his Zinger imitation. I could talk computer hardware. AMD came out with its new non-X versions of the Ryzen 7000 series chips. So the 6-core 12-thread is available for $229 with a cooler now. You've got a $159 B650 motherboard from Gigabyte that's pretty nice. And DDR5 memory's been dropping, so Ryzen 7000 series is actually pretty reasonably priced now, which is cool. The 3D V-Cache chips are going to be coming out on Valentine's Day. Apparently AMD accidentally published that on their website and then took it down, but not before it got screen capped and people were tweeting out about it. So we'll see what those are going to be like. They're going to have an 8, 12, and 16 core model with 3D V-Cache. And they're not going to be... The 8 core is going to be slightly downclocked from the regular 7700X. But the 12 and 16 core are going to be full clocks. That could be pretty cool to see what those can do. Kiana says, I'm a Niners fan, just the football team, not the city. Hawks will be one and done. Yeah, probably. I expect the Niners to beat them, but it'll be fun to watch. The one thing that might work in Seattle's favor, I think they're supposed to be getting heavy rain. That might slow down the Niners' defense and equalize things a bit. I don't know. We'll have to see. I can tell you one thing, though, Gipio. Denver ain't going into the playoffs, so you're welcome. Watching those guys stink up a football arena has made losing Russell Wilson a lot more palatable. Now I've got to listen to people trash talk him. Oh, Wilson's not a great quarterback. It's like, I'd love to have him back on the Seahawks, but he's not there, so we got to move on. Yeah, the problem, and Rodgers is going through it in Green Bay too. But you get some of these quarterbacks that it's like, do you want $150 million and not make the playoffs, or do you want $80 million and to win the Super Bowl? And one of the things about Tom Brady, he was always willing to restructure his contract so they could get the other pieces around him that he needed to win. And that's just smart. That's how you become the GOAT. If you just want to be the richest quarterback, well, okay. Congratulations, Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. You guys are both ungodly wealthy. Try not to get your heads pounded in because you don't have any, linemen to block for you. Derek Carr might be in Seattle. He might. Gipio says, we're just in a rebuilding year. Well, with Wilson, you got a lot to rebuild around. I mean, I refuse to believe he's not a fantastic quarterback. But it happened with Favre in Green Bay, too. They're doing it to Rodgers. It's like, okay, here's buckets of money, and you don't have an offensive line, and you've got mediocre receivers who can't get open, and there's no running game because there's no offensive line. So go out and win for us, Brett, and don't throw any picks. It's like, it's just that's detached from reality. Denver gets Sean Payton, it's on. Deathman says, you make money from sponsors? Me? I wish. So, Canna, you big old Niners fan, what time is the game this weekend? Saturday or Sunday, early, late, or evening? Especially in this era, linebackers, cornerbacks, and safeties are so good now. Well, I mean, yeah, Seattle had the whole Legion of Boom. But I made the comment when they lost Wilson, it's like, they've built a team from scratch before. If anybody's management has the ability to go out and replace the talent that they've lost, Seattle's proven they can do it. They did it again this year. I mean, Geno Smith's getting to the playoffs and Russell Wilson's not. Aaron Rodgers isn't. It's like, what? Inconceivable. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. We'll clear out the bags and head out again here in a little bit. Here, our top rugby stars might make $1 million a year or less from playing and making more working for sponsors. One of the things about NFL salaries that makes them so huge is the revenue that gets generated from NFL, the ticket sales, concession sales, merchandise licensing, TV contracts. the various pay-per-view schemes they have with NFL Ticket and NFL.com and NFL Red Zone on cable TV. It's just Americans spend a staggering amount of money on NFL football, and now that they've partnered with FanDuel and whoever the other gambling folks are, I mean, it's such a huge cash cow. It's unbelievable. DraftKings, thank you, Cowboy. Well, then you've got Caesars Sportsbook advertising, too. Canna says 3:30 tomorrow Central Time. Awesome, thank you. I'll keep an eye out for it. Bonus points if you know the network. Fox, CBS, NBC. With my luck, it's the Prime game. I don't have Amazon Prime. For a sport played in 2 countries. I don't think there's any Canadian teams. Canadian football's different. To the best of my knowledge, what makes NFL football special, it is the highest level of competition on the face of the earth except for actual war itself. The amount of time and planning and training and scheming and player development that goes into an NFL football franchise, the worst NFL franchise, is amazing, almost superhuman. And then, the dedication of the players. There have been players who've had body parts amputated just so they wouldn't miss the playoffs. It's like, well, you're going to need surgery on that finger. What do you mean I'm going to need surgery on the finger? Yeah, you're probably done. But after the postseason, we'll have you come in and we'll fix your finger and you'll be ready to go for next year. Not next year. It's the playoffs. I need to play. Well, you can't play with that finger. Cut it off. Players have had body parts like that amputated so they can go out and play in the playoffs. It's that dedicated. It's crazy. Can't wait for NFL on Netflix next year. Canna says Fox or ESPN Plus. Okay. The Soviets did it with gymnastics and ice skating, etc. But it's the whole league. It's not like there was one team in particular where that was the culture. Like scouting 4-year-olds. Oh, yeah. But that's a little different. Like gymnastics. A lot of those gymnasts are 14, 15 years old when they're at their peak. You probably have to find them when they're 4. NFL football players. What's amazing is the tremendous number of highly talented college football players who never make it in the NFL. I've told the story before about Eric Crouch at Nebraska, and we were all excited. It's like, I remember the night that he won the Heisman Trophy and they announced it, I was working, and somebody from out of state was there, And it's like, wow, Eric Crouch won the Heisman. That's fantastic. And the guy turns to me and goes, so do you think he's going to you think he's going to do great in the pros? And I was like, no. And he kind of looked at me kind of surprised. I'm like, he's a great college quarterback. He doesn't have the skill set to be a professional quarterback. Then I thought about it. It's like, he might be able to go play in Canada. Because Canadian football, athletic running quarterbacks tend to be more sought after. It's pretty rare for that here. The Ravens quarterback, I'm going to say Jamal Lewis, and if that's not the right name, I'm going to feel like an idiot. I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of sports this year. With everything Mrs. Mustafa's had going on, I've missed most of the football season. But Lamar Jackson, thank you. I wasn't too far off. Yeah, I was pretty far off. Lamar Jackson, thank you, Geekster. He's he's got the long ball passing ability. He's not just an athletic running quarterback. But Crouch eventually tried to make it, I think, as a receiver. And last I heard, he was here in Omaha selling playground equipment. So, a lot of guys have to move on. But he's not the first Heisman Trophy winner who couldn't make it in the NFL. There have been a lot of them over the years. Cricket has no off season, so wherever it's summer, the players go. That's pretty cool. What's been amazing for me to watch Geeks Tour is the development of the NFL draft turning into a huge TV event. I mean, NFL football is really the only sport that I follow regularly. I've got a team. I'm emotionally invested in the Seahawks. I like watching the games. I like following the league. I couldn't care less about the draft. And the idea that people actually go to the draft and hang out and party and watch the draft live, and that it's a big TV event. It's like, okay, y'all got problems, but more power to you. I mean, the NFL draft probably pulls better ratings than a lot of NBA or Major League Baseball games. That's how powerful the NFL is. Alright, well, I at least bought myself a little time. And I promised you guys more task item turn-ins. That's how we started the stream. We fished, I've eaten on camera, I've done inventory management and task item turn-ins. I think the only thing I haven't done is crafted. Singer says the problem with football is that the players keep throwing the ball rather than kicking it. Quiet you, your Eagles are probably going to win the Super Bowl. Alright, let's see what we have to turn in. If I don't have the right task items for this board, I will be truly amazed. This is working out well. I didn't even have to check. I just started clicking on stuff and I had all of it.
Greetings.
The task at hand.
What can I do for you? What can I do for you?
Champion says, I'm excited about what's to come for this game. It still has so much potential. I agree, Champion.
How can I be of service? What do you need? How can I be of service? What can I do for you? Greetings.
There we go. I saw NBC was uploading what is it, the Paris to Dakar rally? They had some high-res coverage of that. That's been pretty cool to watch. I don't know or understand cricket at all. Lots of motorsports is free on YouTube. It's a happy thing. Oh, and I guess they were talking about how they're going to revamp crafting. Sometime in 2023, crafting's supposed to get love finally. It could use it.
What do you need?
Hobnanigans is free about once a month for a real sport. Exactly. Yeah, Kenna doesn't live in America. He lives in Kentucky. I would think Pluto TV might have cricket. They have a lot of sports channels. Or it might be on the same channel as the dodgeball tournament. You need to just check out the Ocho, ESPN 8. Man, I've still got task items to collect. Alright, let's see.
How may I help you?
If we ever get invaded, we're perfect. Everyone invited, we go hide back in the hills and caves. That sounds like a good idea. Deathman says someone wants Kentucky. Geekster says up here Sportsnet picked up Pakistan's Premier League of Cricket. Not sure of the actual league name, not sure if they still have that contract. Man, I'm out of pistachios now. General Rama checking in. Hello, General. 16 Raiders from Celestia have joined. Hi, everybody. Celestia, I hope you got your PC sorted out and your audio's working. Your stream went well, I hope. I'm rooting for you, hon. They might class it up and change the topic. Exactly. Yeah, we've had way too much football talk. I'm good, Celestia. It's been a bit of a long week, but I'm feeling good. Looking forward to the weekend. I haven't told Mrs. Mustafa, but I actually have Monday off. So hopefully I can get a few extra things done. That poor thing is super bored in the hospital and wants me to come up and spend every waking hour with her that I can. How is she, by the way? I was wondering about her yesterday. She called me on my cell phone while I was streaming, and I put her on speakerphone and let her say hi to everybody in chat. We're just getting ready to move her from her post-critical care hospital to a dedicated rehab facility. So she's healing up nicely. She's got a lot of work to do to get stronger. But yeah, it'll be a good thing. For one thing, she desperately needs a change of scenery. For another, a little bit nicer room and better food would probably put her in much better spirits. But if we can really start getting her worked out 3 or 4 hours a day, I think things will come around. Also, she'll have to travel to get... She's been in the same room. She hasn't left the hospital room she's in at all in... almost a month. That's got to be really tough. So where she's at isn't that comfortable. She can't see the TV. The food's not that great. It's just been tough. She's tired. She is hungry. She is really looking forward to getting out of there. And she's still got some work ahead of her, but overall she's healing up well and doing good. Please send her my love. I will do that. And thank you to everybody else who said hi to Mrs. M earlier. She sounded really tired, so I wasn't going to keep her on the phone any longer than necessary so I could rattle off everybody's names, but appreciate you guys sending her your thoughts and prayers and positive vibes. I'll be very happy to have her back home busting my chops instead of making me drive across town to her hospital room so she can bust my chops. I mean, hospital kimchi isn't all it's cracked up to be. I really do need to pick her up some Korean food sometime. I've brought her Chinese food. I usually bring her whatever she asks for. Today she wanted chicken nuggets, so I picked her up chicken nuggets and a strawberry shake. Yeah, and the frustrating part was she's give me a 10-piece McNugget, and I knew better. I bought her a 6-piece McNugget, and she only ate 3 of them. Yeah, it's tough with the antibiotics she's been on. It's been kind of burning out her palate. Nothing tastes good, and she's just not happy right now. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully we'll get her moved to the new rehab facility, and they'll be able to get her whipped into shape a little better. Now the problem is there's actually a pretty good Korean restaurant not that far from where she is, but I can't think of a Korean restaurant out near where she's going. I have to research that a little bit. I've been surprised at the number of new restaurants that have been popping up that I hadn't seen before. One of the things I don't want to say it's been nice with her not being around, but I try to find the silver lining. And I like going out and trying new restaurants, and she just hasn't been in the mood for it the last few months, as you can imagine. So, I've gone out and tried some restaurants that I hadn't been to before. Last night I had dinner at a place called Timber Firewood Bistro. Really nice, cool restaurant. It was way busier than I thought. Apparently it's not a well-kept secret. I must be the last person in town to try it for the first time, but place had a nice buzz about it. A lot of diners, really nice intimate setting, nice decor, wood-fired oven, stacks of firewood in the middle of the dining room on racks and things. Smelled just faintly of firewood in there, and I had a bowl of their barbacoa chili. I had a sausage and pepper pizza that was cooked in the wood-fired oven, and it was nice. And Mrs. M hasn't been up for trying new restaurants in a couple of years. She just, one of the things that was frustrating me was I'd get these calls at work, and she's like, "Yeah, pick up this fast food," and she just wants to eat out of paper bags and hasn't felt like eating anything decent. So I've been making sure that I take care of myself. I'm trying to get enough sleep. I'm trying to make sure that I get one good meal a day, because on top of everything else, I mean, I'm taking care of our home, doing all the laundry, doing all the cooking, the cleaning. We've had a couple projects around the house I've been working on. I had to go through all of her mail and go through and pay all of her bills. And then a consumer tip for everybody: if you ever get a late fee on your credit cards or your car loan, just call them up and ask them to reverse it after you pay them the money. And I've probably shaved $400 or $500 off of her various bills just by going back to each of the creditors and going, "Hey, my wife's in the hospital, and everybody's been pretty good about working with us. Would you be able to reverse the late fees that you charged?" I mean, it was a medical issue. It wasn't like she hasn't been a good customer. And every single one of them, Volkswagen credit, her Gap card, she's got 2 Discover cards, a Bank of America account, a Target card. Every one of them's gone back and reversed the late fees. It's been helpful. So don't be afraid to call up people you owe money to and ask them to reverse late fees. They'll usually do it. Deathman says, nice pizza? Yeah, actually it was really good. That crust from the wood-fired oven was pretty spectacular. And they use fresh mozzarella, and it melts nice, and it's got a good taste to it. They actually cook the sauce on the side, and you spoon it onto the pizza, and I was told it's because they don't want it making the crust soggy. The crust was really nice and light and crispy. Oddly enough, the Italian sausage was just a little bit of a letdown. It was kind of under-seasoned. It didn't have a lot of spice or fennel to it. And it just kind of got covered up in the background by the cheese, the sauce, and the crust. So I actually asked my server what her favorite pizza was, and she said they've got a grilled chicken pizza that's really good, and she mentioned something else. So I might have just ordered the wrong pizza, but like I said, the restaurant was really cool. All of the food was very good, and I only got a chance to sample a couple things on the menu, so I'd love to go back, but yeah, it's been interesting just seeing some of the new restaurants that have popped up around town. So how do you keep track of that many accounts? I had to go through the mail and open up all the mail and dig through it and find the statements, and she'd been having trouble kind of keeping track of stuff anyway, because she had her initial foot surgery back in October, and she wasn't feeling good before that because, of course, she had a bone infection that we didn't know about until, it was obvious that there was a problem with her left foot, and we had to rush her to the emergency room. So she's on probably her 7th Volkswagen Jetta lease, and we keep her in a brand new car. It's always under warranty. It's always dead solid reliable. And when Volkswagen doesn't want to repair it for free anymore, we give it back to them and get another one. Neither Mrs. Mustafa or I drive a lot of miles, so that works for us. But she had not removed her old leases from her online banking, and she would inadvertently send in money on the wrong lease. So she'd be paying on a lease that she'd already paid off, not paying on her current car lease, and then she'd get a check back from Volkswagen, and I'd be like, that ain't right, you paid the wrong lease, you need to call them right away. It's like, why are they sending me a check? And it's just like, alright. So I was talking to her about getting that straightened out again before she went into the hospital, and we just didn't have time to get to it. So I had to go through her Volkswagen statements, call Volkswagen, send them a bunch of money, and get that straightened out. But I've got everything current, everything's fine, and all of her creditors have been notified. We've been married 20 years, but we keep all separate accounts. She's got her cards, I've got mine. She's got her checking account, I've got mine. She's got her 401k, I've got mine. And she's just always managed her own money, and it hasn't been a problem up until she started getting sick last summer. I ain't seen a check since the 90s here. Well, we don't write a lot of paper checks, but Oh, I need to go kill orcs. Let's go kill orcs. That's always fun. We will head across the road and murder them relentlessly. At least until I get Slayer Advance done. So, you know, one of the things that I wasn't prepared for, well, I wasn't prepared for most any of this. I mean, she went in for foot surgery, had a massive heart attack, and coded 7 times. None of that was expected. And then when she finally came to, she was sedated and on a ventilator for about 10 days. And when she woke up, there were days, you know, I've told the story that I was sitting by her bed and she would wake up and look alarmed that there was a strange man sitting there. And she was kind of staring at me, and I'm like, "Hi, do you remember me?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "I'm your husband, Ed. We've been married for 19 years. And she's like, "Oh, okay." And it kind of, she's like, "All right, whatever." You know, it was pretty funny the way she took the information. And then, you know, she'd doze off, and 30 minutes later she'd wake up again, and she'd look at me, and I'd be like, "Hi, do you remember me?" "No." "I'm your husband, Ed. We've been married for 19 years. And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she'd doze off again, and then when she woke up, she's like, "Oh, honey, come here and rub my head." It's like, okay. Well, she obviously remembers me now, or she doesn't care, and she just wants me to give her a scalp massage while she's laying here in bed. So, there we go. Orc Slayer Advanced complete. We are done with orcs. I got a lot of spiders to kill. I got a lot of wargs to kill. I think I got Troll Slayer Advanced done. I did. That was the first Slayer deed I finished out here. I got Crebane's Slayer done. I need to find and murder a lot of wargs. Spiders I could go finish. I gotta kill a lot of spiders. I don't know I want to finish that tonight. So she doesn't remember her passwords to anything. When I was working on her bills and stuff, I would call up, and invariably the conversation with a lot of these companies was like, "Hi, I'm Mrs. Mustafa's husband. I'm calling on her behalf. She's in the hospital. I sent you guys money, but I need this or I need that." And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You're not authorized on the account." It's like, okay, do you guys like getting paid? "Well, we need to speak with your wife." And I forget who it was, but I put her on the phone with one of her creditors, and they're like, "Yeah, what's your full name, ma'am?" And she would say it, and she'd just give him her maiden name. And I was looking at the paperwork, and it has her married name on the account. And the guy would be like, "Your full legal name?" And she'd just give him her maiden name again. And I'd be like, "I think he's asking for your married name, honey." And so she'd spit it out. And then, so I mean, they knew that what I was telling them was real. She was in the hospital. She was a little not quite all together cognitively. And I've known people who have had heart attacks. I've never known anybody who came back that was this confused that hadn't had a stroke. And we weren't prepared for this. I wasn't on any of her accounts. She's actually on my bank accounts as an authorized user. So those are some things that we'll have to keep up with going forward, but I've been getting me added to her accounts. And we'll call up these places on the cell phone from her hospital room, and if they want to talk to her, they talk to her. But yeah, have a backup plan financially. If you end up going into the hospital, if you get sedated, if you're injured in a car wreck, you know, it doesn't have to be a stroke for you to be confused. And it just never occurred to us that that was something we needed to prepare for. She was just checking in to see if you knew. Yeah, you might be right. I know what you mean. My uncle had a stroke at 40 and has never recovered much. Zinger says, plausible deniability for feeding you all that ground glass. The maiden name thing is kind of familiar to me. I've seen it quite a bit in the hospital. Well, and what was funny is when they first took her off the ventilator, they were like, "Do you know your date of birth?" And I just started laughing because my wife's been lying about that her whole life. Her mom made up a birthday for her that's not the right birthday, so she could get her enrolled in school early. I think she needed to be born by March of a certain date, and her actual birthday's in May. So her mom gave her a birthday of February 9th to get her into school. And I finally had to ask her mom, because her response was, well, this is my birthday, and on the Korean calendar, my birthday's this date in April, and I have my birthday in May. I celebrate 3 birthdays a year. And me being me, I'm like, yeah, no, you don't celebrate 3 birthdays a year. And I asked her mom, I was like, Dr. Lee, when is her actual birthday? And she gave me the May date, so that's the only birthday that I observe. But she's lied about her age. She got a passport, her U.S. passport, the passport office screwed up, and the date is off by 8 years. They made her 8 years younger than she actually is. So she really likes her passport. And it was one of those innocuous things that, like, who cares how old your passport says you are. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal one way or the other. But, yeah, I just started laughing. They're like, what's your date of birth? I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised she doesn't get this right. Well, and I didn't realize it until a ways after we got married, but typically in Korean families, everybody maintains the name of their father. So if, let's just say, I don't want to sound racist, but let's say Chang and Wang get married. Chang's the husband and Wang is the wife. The wife stays Wang, and the children take Dad's name. The children will all be Chang's. And the children maintain the father's name to honor the father. Whether you get married or not, it's irrelevant. So the wives typically maintain their maiden name, but the children take the father's name. With Latino families, at least modern Latino families in the U.S., the big trend is the kids taking a hyphenated version of both parents' names. So if Sanchez marries Hernandez, the kids will all be Sanchez Hernandez will be their last name. Whether or not the wife takes the husband's name, I don't really know. I'm guessing not. Otherwise, the kids wouldn't know what to hyphenate as. But yeah, it's culturally different than it is for white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. You think you would be the power of attorney for this reason? Exactly. I'm my mom's power of attorney. 24 less birthdays for her, exactly, Zinger. Deathman says Iceland is the same. The kids take on the father's name as a surname. That's hilarious, one back. Oh, and I got a bunch of undead to kill and probably a bunch of bog lurkers. I couldn't even find bog lurkers earlier. I feel bad. Zinger's been hanging out all night and I've hardly talked about PC hardware. There he is. "12 of 60. Oh, I am on Advanced Slayer. I've killed enough bog lurkers. I at least got the basic one done. So that's not horrible. It's going to be pretty horrible. It takes a long time to get that done. But I'm guessing we must have ran Agumar and maybe gotten a bunch of bog lurkers down in the instances. Is Mrs. M old enough to drink then? Yes, she is. Thanks to her 3 birthdays a year. She was probably an AARP member at 14. So I am working on Slayer Advanced on the Undead, and I got to kill about 60 of these dudes. Singer said should have done it when I got sidetracked watching Clockwork Orange. My ophthalmologist has a room where they call it the injection room. He puts patients in a chair. They clamp their eyes open like in a Clockwork Orange, and they give them injections right into the eyeball. And I was jokingly referring to it as the Clockwork Orange room. And he's like, "Why does everybody say that?" It's like, "'Cause you're basically torturing people in there, Doc." Sounds like a bit of the ultra-violence. We're driving in the Durango 95, playing Hogs of the Road. Yeah, it's a pretty damn good movie. They did not make it. Oh, he just dropped dead. Nice. I was all excited to rush in and kill him, and he just fell. I remember at school in the 70s when the dental nurse had a foot-powered drill. We called it the murder house for a reason. That sounds horrible. What's in the box? What's in the box? Don't come over here. That's pretty funny. The master doesn't count for the undead slayer deed. Neither do the gaunt guys or the summoned whites. You are useless to me. Pew pews must die. Aren't the gaunt meant to be the minor major? Sure. He did not make it. Not sure I'm entirely comfortable with that pose. Like Sambrog, Thader, and company are the enemies of Gandalf and Radagast. Sure. We fished the Circle of Blood earlier tonight. There's nothing wrong with the water. It's fine. It's just red colored. Probably a high mineral content in the soil. All right. That's pretty funny, actually. I think I am in the wrong stance. What are we working on? Determination is maxed. Loyalty is not. Let's go ahead and switch that. Yeah, I'm in yellow line. That explains a lot. It's like, why are my travel skills not on my skill bar? You're in the wrong stance, Ed. Might be an algae bloom. Exactly, an algae bloom. There's nothing supernatural about it. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and call it a stream. Thank you so much for hanging out and listening to me rant about everything from the American medical system to computer hardware to NFL football. Andang Fire is streaming. El Galadwin is streaming. French Girl Gaming is streaming. They all have Lotro up and running. Inspector Nestor is up and streaming. Some channel called Lotro Stream is up and streaming. Budafist, Lariana are streaming. Not Lotro. Mithrander 419 is not streaming Lotro. Let's go say hi to El Galadwin. And I will see you guys all back here next week. You can also feel free to pop by my channel and say hello this weekend. I should be streaming Lotro tomorrow and World of Warships on Sunday. Have a great weekend, everybody, and if you're off on Monday, enjoy the holiday. And remember a great man. We live in a much better society now, thanks to Dr. King, and I'm grateful for that. So, rating El Galadwin, here we go. Okay. Don't miss out. Let's get on that raid, everybody. Come join the fun. Say hi to El Galadwin. If you want to pop over and say hi to Andang or French Girl Gaming, they are both fine streamers, but I've both rated them more recently than El Galadwin. So we will say hi to her. Take care, everybody.